Well then, can you believe we only have 4 rounds of the season to go already? It seems like yesterday we were just starting this season back in Melbourne, Australia, where we had all that controversy of that particular race, but since then we've seen some absolutely brilliant racing in PSGL F1. So, a warm welcome to everybody who has already joined in the stream. This is live coverage of the PSGL F1 Italian Grand Prix, and tonight we are at the Autodromo Nazionale Monza, one of the most iconic tracks of the sports. Although the banked turns of the old circuit have long since been retired, the offspring of that particular track certainly still a mighty challenge for all the drivers. One of the fastest tracks in the world, full throttle, well over 3/4 of the lap for all the drivers here. So we're going to see some absolutely scintillating times in qualifying, I'm very sure. So a quick look at the track. We got the likes of Lewis and Ash Best, who are both contesting the championship this season. They've really dominated this championship from the word go, really. 3 victories each for Ash Best and Lewis. So in terms of the title situation, it is a 26-point gap between the two. Ash Best on 106 and Lewis on 80 points, with Jack Lacey, CC Bray and AMS fairly distant now to them on 53, 47 and 33 respectively. I have to briefly mention Cliffy. What a fantastic victory for the Renault driver last week. Played that strategy to perfection, and unlike China, where he tried to play pretty much the same card, the weather gods were with him and it worked out beautifully for him to earn his first victory of the season since his comeback to the division. And speaking of comebacks, unfortunately, after that racing incident of QPR Beast, Mitch Emery decided enough was enough, so he departed the league, and returning is a former PSGL F1 race winner to partner VSR Lewis for the rest of the season, and that is Maxi Luca, of all people. So watch out for him to make a big impression on this race, hopefully to do a bit more than he did earlier in the season, where really he really struggled. Best position this season was a 5th place back in Bahrain, but he, as I say, he has won a race in this Division 4, so he is more than capable of performing on the day. So we may as well have a look at the Constructors' Championship while we're at it. So as it stands, McLaren have quite the advantage with just 4 rounds of the season to go. 34 points between Ash Best and AMS to the Toro Rosso team, who just seem to can't have a driver pairing long enough to really challenge. It's going to be a tall order for them to get back into the hunt. But then again, with Ash Best missing the final 3 races of the season, I hear, maybe a chance for Toro Rosso still to win that, especially if Maxi sticks around. Maxi is committed to the Italian Grand Prix and the next race as well, at least. Whether he stays for the rest of the season remains to be seen. So 139 points for McLaren, then 105 for Toro Rosso, and then Big C and Jack Lacey, the World Championship winning pairing. 8 PSGL F1 titles between them after all, on 80 points, and then Greeny and CC Brain 63 points. It's been a solid campaign from the Williams team. I mean, they had a brilliant start of the season, but they couldn't quite maintain that throughout the entire season. But they're on 63 points. 52 points for Ugi, Azim and Wako to make up top 5. As ever, if you want to see the full championship standings, you can follow PSGL F1 Twitter. They update the full standings after every single race. So 11 tracks of the 11 corners rather of this 5.7 kilometer circuit, and one of the fastest ever qualifying laps has to be. So the lap record still stands from 2004, even with the F1 2017 season, which is a 1:21.046, which is a lap record in terms of during the race. So just shows you how insanely fast those 2004 Ferraris were. The actual fastest lap in terms of qualifying is a 1:19.525 by Juan Pablo Montoya, which was back in 2004. And I tell you what, those Williams and Ferraris, they were absolute monsters, those V10 cars. So just incredible when you look back at the old footage. But it looks like a few more people have joined the chat, and we've got the likes of Flying Throme, the experienced Iran, and of course Mr. Grumpy. Great result for Iran of Singapore. The undisputed king of Singapore seems to win there every single time, and I thought Tejua was good at that particular track. So let's see if there's any other absentees. Ugizim is not here this evening, but we've got 18 drivers on the grid. I'm just trying to figure out who the other absentee is, but it looks like they're readying up, and we're going to get ready for our usual 12-minute qualifying session, followed by 50% distance of Monza, the Temple Speed. So yeah, here we go then. Here's the countdown. So super soft, mediums available as your dry compounds, and then intermediate and full wets, of course, if we get some rain. It's kind of 50-50 for Monza. It doesn't usually get rain, but sometimes you can get intermediate conditions here. Full wet, I don't see very often here. Across the board, all leagues, not just PSGL. Intermediate's fairly common, so we shall see what sort of weather we get. Ashbest asks, can I have an interview at the end? Well, it depends if I have time to podium interviews. It's kind of 50-50 at the moment, but I will let you know as we go on, because it's been so busy these past few weeks. It's a case of doing the stream and then jumping off often. So we've got 14 watching so far. There is an F6 race going on, so it might be worth having a quick look at that on another screen for the start at least. It could be very interesting. Turn 1 here, one of the biggest challenges on the first lap. It's a 638 meter dash from the start finish line all the way to turn 1, so it's very tricky, very narrow into there. Two cars almost don't go, so I wouldn't be surprised if I see quite a lot of carbon fibre flying out of the first chicane, because in effect this track is a series of straights broken up by 3 chicanes. That's all it is. It's just the monstrous speeds you can build here. It's unbelievable. In terms of the downforce levels, it will be very low indeed, the lowest of any circuit this season, so it will be a question of how low do you want to go in terms of your front and rear wings. Some people might even go for 1-1, you just never know, but you don't need downforce here. You just got to brave it out through the chicanes and get your braking right, and then just hold on for the thrilling ride for the rest of the track. So many iconic corners here, like the Variante Ascari 8, 9 and 10, and then of course Parabolica to finish the lap before the blast onto the home straight. And also another thing for the drivers to watch out for, the pit lane here is very tricky to get your entry right, because you're going almost up to, you know, the last gear before the top gear, and then you have to get the car slow down somehow, not get a penalty. So don't be surprised if a few of the drivers tonight get some pit penalties. So it's dry conditions then for qualifying, and we will see if Ashbest makes his customary dash out of the pit lane, which has become a bit of a trademark for him the last couple of seasons. I don't know how he does it, to be honest. He's got the itchy trigger finger, and we can hear a few engines firing up in the garages. So I mean, it's just amazing to think that Monza hosted a Grand Prix in 1950 in the original format, of course, of those, you know, infamous banked turns, which must have been absolutely terrifying to race on back in the day. I mean, can you imagine going on those with modern Formula 1 cars like this? I doubt. I mean, the crash doesn't even bear thinking about. It's not surprising there was several deaths, unfortunately, on that old format. It's a relatively speaking much safer circuit today. So quite a few drivers going out. Did Ashbest get out first, I wonder? Let's have a look. No, he did not. It's a Ferrari head. So the Tifosi filling the stands as they get ready for the race later on, and their hopes for a home victory here for Ferrari lie on the shoulders of Abiodun and Lordy Boy, of course. So it'd be a dream for one of the Ferraris to get onto the podium at least, but they're going to have stiff competition, especially from the McLaren and Toro Rosso drivers who have been excellent this season. But I just get the sense that Mercedes, Big C and Jack Lacey, they've had a, I'd say, steady season by their high standards, but they'll be looking to prove a point, because 8 championships between them in PSGL F1. You can't write them off at any time, especially Big C with his 7 titles. He perhaps will be looking to F1 2018 to make an impact, because there's no title challenge for Big C for his 8th title this season, that is for sure. It's only really going to be the top 2 of Lewis and Ashbest representing their various esports squads, who I'm sure will be watching with interest as this race unfolds. So Ashbest, as I mentioned, is looking likely to miss the final 3 races of the season, as he's going on holiday with his family, which is a delightful thing to do in the summer, but could be quite costly for his bid to retain the championship. So really, he's got to finish ahead of Lewis to extend his championship lead if he's going to have any real chance of maintaining champion. But even if he extends the championship, Lewis, he'll still have to get the job done as Ashbest breaks into the home set course. So we'll stick with the McLaren driver for the time being as we do a nice lap of the circuit, blasting out from the opening corner as we head towards the second chicane, which seems to have several names, but it's called the Curva Segunda. And Cliffy has retired, so is he going for another long stint outside the top 10? I think that seems to be his established strategy down at Renault. So we'll check to see if he has actually crashed, but no, actually I don't think he would have done. So continuing then on, the DRS activation zone just between the two Lesmos in turns 6 and 7, and then the DRS is right here. This is the first DRS zone, and then very tricky braking point for the Variante Ascari. You want to go wide and then swing out to the left, go for 8, 9 and 10, and then it's run slightly wide. Maybe could have possibly got a track extension for that, but hopefully not. In terms of the pole time, I think we're looking at somewhere in the 1 minute 19s. Perhaps there might be a few drivers, and there's a cheer from the Ferrari as Abby Yoden crosses the line, but it's quickly blitzed by Blizzard. But Ash Best crosses the line, and yes, as I suspected, Ash Best got a track extension, I think, coming out of the Variante Ascari. So that has cost him his first time. So the VSR drivers of Blizzard and Lewis currently occupying the front row of the grid. But that's a really decent banker from Blizzard to be in that position. The only driver in the 1 minute 19 so far. Who else is out there? Nick Pine goes off 7. He missed last week's race, but he is back for this particular one. What about Big C? Big C going through the Variante Ascari goes fairly steadily. What about Maxi Luca? Maxi Luca got an extension. He had quite the reputation for gaining penalties, so hopefully he's developed a bit of a race car, because penalties very, very likely here because of the low downforce. Braking for some of these chicanes, very easy to cut the corner here. Big C over 1 minute 30. Well, that's obviously made a massive error somewhere, so he must be going for a second run, surely. Only 14th at the moment, from former 7-time PSGL F1 champion. So he's going to try and get back to the pits. No indication what the weather is going to be for the race, but we don't need to know that. We shall see what we are going to get for this particular race. But Blizzard will be absolutely delighted with his first run, and we have 4 drivers who have yet to set a time. Cliffy won't be setting a time because he's already retired, of course. Maxi looking back in pits. Now what about Ash Best? Is he going for a second run? Let's just see what he's up to at the moment. And yes, he does. A 1:20.513. So only good enough fifth, but obviously he had the extra tyre wear, having done an extra lap, so that's probably a factor, so he'll have to come back to the pits. And it's just over 6 minutes session, half the session gone already. You know, it's going to be an interesting dynamic in the next game, because apparently on the F1 2018 Bessa, the short qualifying is now back up to 15 minutes, as it was a couple of games ago. So that may be interesting. And Maxi Lucas decided, along with Cliffy, to call it a day and start from the back grid on fresh tyres and a free choice of which compound to use. Now the fact that there doesn't seem to be any drivers doing multiple runs could be an indication that it's a dry race. But let's see. Big C has run out of fuel, so yeah, they were only fueling really low. Gonna switch on the telemetry just to get an indication of how much fuel they're putting into the cars. So all 16 active drivers have set times. Quite a variety of gaps. Let's just have a look at the gaps then. 0.3 of a second between the VSR drivers, so Lewis has got to find quite a bit of time to get ahead of his teammate and into the 19s, but I suspect we will certainly get more than Blizzard getting into the 19s. And hello to a few more people. Looks like JP, I'm just going to call him Greenwood. Big congratulations on your 4th place in PSGL F5 on Saturday. That was a brilliant drive at Singapore, a very challenging circuit. I see Warren Haig is here as well. And Game Freaker, I'm not streaming in 1080 yet because I'm still doing tests, because it's really hard to actually get this configured. So I'm streaming on the old method, which is still pretty decent. I think you'll agree. That's 720p through my PS4. So, but I'm hoping in time for PSGL F1 in F1 2018 we will have Elgato streaming, but yeah, with overlays and everything, very professional. But enough about that. And Ash Best seemed like he went for a 3rd run, and now he's split the 2 VSR drivers, so he's ahead of his championship rival, but he's going to be cutting it fine. And I'll tell you what, if he runs out of fuel before he gets through the Variante Ascari, he's going to be in deep trouble, because he'll be slowed down painfully, but I think he will just about get away with it, because he'll be able to just blast down the straight and then coast back into the pit lane. So he should have time to get back into the pit lane and back out on track, but that could be quite critical for the title race. And we've got Voltex Lickle. He's in 5th position at the moment, so half a second between the top 5. Quite a tight qualifying session as ever in PSGL F1. So Let's have a quick look down the order. So, Blizzard, Ash Best, Lewis, CC Brain, Lickle, Jack Lacey, Wacko, Cherry 2 Pie, AMS, and QPR Beast making up the top 10. QPR Beast was running pretty well, but unfortunately made a bit of an error. Pure accident, of course, and took out Mitch Emery last week. But yeah, it was a pure racing incident, but it was very unfortunate because both drivers were having really good races in their own way in terms of the strategy, especially with the rain that was coming. After the grueling challenge of Singapore, I think all of the drivers, including the ones that come in the likes of Formula Performance and F2, F3 and F4, will be glad to go back to a circuit where there's plenty of space to drive in. But, you know, there's not too many runoff areas here. There's a lot of grass, especially the les modes. You don't want to go too wide at the first les mode because you can easily light up the car on the left side and spear into the wall to the right. So that'll be something they'll have to look out for. So, drivers coming out then for their runs, and it looks like VSR Lewis and CC Brain have come out a little bit earlier. Ash Best is sitting in the pit lane, but again, he should be absolutely fine. And Blizzard is just biding his time at the moment, obviously looking to come out as late as possible. So the only 3 drivers have taken pole position in PSGL F1 this season, those being Ash Best and VSR Lewis and Mitch Emery, of course, after he had that brilliant debut race, one of the only 2 races he competed in. So Blizzard, though, he's certainly looking on the pace today. He's looking to be the 4th driver to take pole position in PSGL F1 this season. In terms of former winners of this particular track, there's actually only one on the grid, and that is Ash Best, who won this race last season in season 19, which was down to penalties. Actually, it was a fast and furious race that particular day. So let's go on board with VSR Lewis, because Ash Best and Blizzard are still in the pits, so they're not on track yet. So VSR Lewis just calmly going about half speed down the straight towards Parabolica, and now he builds up the speed. Let's see what his top speed is in terms of his wing setup. They'll be going well over 200 miles an hour. It is stunning speed here at Monza. And he's 210. Right on the limit, heading towards 220 miles an hour, and he hits the brakes. Can Lewis get it slowed down? He certainly does. Round the opening chicane he goes, and now he's in pursuit of getting that pole position, which would be so important for his title bids. As we head towards the Curva Segunda, the second chicane of the 3 at Monza. He cut over that. Did he get an invalidation, I wonder? Yeah, he's backed off by the looks of it. Yeah, he's backed off, so that is an invalidation. So that's a bit of a blow for VSR Lewis, but he's got time to get round again and enough fuel to go for another run. So that adds a little bit of tension to the Toro Rosso driver, certainly. Ash Best, well, he'll be listening to the commentary as usual, so he'll be, you know, grinning to himself slightly that his title rival made that mistake. But he's got to get on with the job himself and try and get ahead of those 2, at least Blizzard. Got to wonder, even though they're not teammates, will the VSR teammates help each other out? That is an interesting question. Or will they hopefully race each other? That's what we want to see. We don't like to see team orders unless they're absolutely necessary, and they're not even teammates, so no excuse really. So Ash Best side behind Lewis still. Nick Pine has retired from the session. And here is Blizzard then. He's on a flying lap, so Blizzard, Lewis, that's Best, and Lickle puts it up into 2nd place. He's been very impressive in qualifying of late, and indeed in the race. A brilliant podium for him last week. 2nd place, but Lickle putting it up into 2nd position, just behind Blizzard. And here is Blizzard then into the Curva Segunda. Oh, and a big snap of oversteer. It's very tricky, that those sort of painted lines on the outside of that chicane. That's what happens if you go out too wide. Oh, he runs wide again. Will there be invalidations? There's no more time left in the session. The highest Ferrari driver at the moment, Xabi O'Dun, he's in 10th position. Lordy Boy only in 16th, so it's not a great session for the Tifosi. But I'm not sure Blizzard has really gone fast on. AMS finishes in 7th for his qualifying, at least for time being. He's dropping already. Now, where is the others? So we got Ash Best and Lewis. So Blizzard will cross the line first, so we will switch to Lewis immediately as soon as he crosses the line. What sort of time is this going to be for Blizzard? I'm not sure it looks as good a lap as his opening banker, so he will go for the line now. and Blizzard does not improve. So what about VSR Lewis? He heads for the line. Is this going to be enough for position to pole? No, it's not, but look how tight it is. But what about Asbest? He crosses the line and he takes provisional pole position for the time being. But what about Lickle? Oh, that is the end of the session. Who got pole position? Lickle's only in third, so Asbest has done it. He's got 4 pole positions this season, I believe. Unbelievable end to that session there. So Asbest takes pole position. The reigning champion has really dragged one out of that. And then we got Blizzard in second. Great qualifying for him. Lickle in third, and Lewis was dropped down to 4th, so he's got 2 cars between himself and Asbest. Big C in 5th, and Jack Lacey in 6th, CC Brain in 7th, AMS in 8th, Walker in 9th. Abiodun makes up the top 10. And we've got some brilliant drivers outside of the top 10 as well. But a good session for Mercedes, actually. So they'll be looking to take advantage of any sort of shenanigans at turn 1. And now, we need to see what's the weather going to be. I tell you what, if it's wet, this is going to be absolutely... Oh, it is! It is wet conditions, ladies and gentlemen. Oh, how wet is it, though? Is it intermediates, it looks like? Oh. Well, it's light rain, but apparently it's not intermediate conditions. Oh wow, this is intriguing indeed. Could it be that it's light rain conditions, but it's not wet enough for intermediate, so they're all going to be on slippery tyres? Well, this is a unique challenge for the drivers, if this is indeed the case. It could be a graphical glitch, of course, you never know with these games, but if these drivers are starting on the tyres they started on, this is going to be a mighty start. So a 638 metre dash to turn 1, but how much of a struggle is this going to be if they are on dry tyres? Let's have a look. Let's just see from a distance. They are on dry tyres, they are on dry tyres, but it's raining. Look at this, 5 red lights, and we are Forza Italia, and it's a good start for Asbest. Blizzard makes a decent getaway as well, but oh my god, they're all sliding from the start line. Terrible start from AMS back behind, but Blizzard has the inside. It is the advantage of starting on the right hand side of the grid, and Blizzard will take the lead, at least separate. Oh, and there's a Mercedes hit in the background. I think that was Jack Lacey. There was a Mercedes going off at turn 1, I think it was Jack Lacey, and he's had to go through the open corner, and Asbest has dropped to 3rd position. It's a brilliant start from Lewis. And they're going to go side by side. And Asbest will go for an almighty lunge, but oh no. Oh, they've all gone across. Oh my goodness. These conditions are not for dry tyres. This is unbelievable. It's just going to be a case of keeping calm, and Asbest, the champion, has fallen down to 4th position from pole, but this is what these conditions have done. And Lickle now slips wide. I will be absolutely shocked if nobody falls off. For some reason my HUD keeps switching off, but so it's VSR 1-2, not teammates of course. Let's see if there's anything going on behind. Yes indeed there is, as Cherry 2 Pie moves up to 8th position, passing Joliana Manu. But Maxi Luca and Lordy Boy having a furious scrap behind. It's been a disastrous start for Ferrari, and as another car runs wide, and now AMS, oh my goodness, it's going to be almost 3 wide between these 3 cars. And we'll go aboard Joliana Manu to get the best view of it. Will they get the cars slowed down? Got CC Brain, AMS, Cherry 2 Pie and Joliana Manu. I'm going to stick with this particular battle, that is for sure, as they head towards the start-finish line. Oh goodness, this could be horrific for one of these drivers. AMS just about saying it. It's virtually 3 wide as they head for the turn, but the track will narrow out. There's almost 5 cars fighting position. Surely something has to give here. And Jack Lacey has fallen all the way down to 15th place. Oh my goodness, look at this. It's like rush hour on the M25. They're going everywhere. And Wako gets a 5-second stop-go penalty for speed in the pit lane, so he must have got damage on the first lap. Well, that was almost comical how slowly they were going through the chicane, just bashing into each other, and there must be multiple wing damage. And Cliffy now, once again, Cliffy starting from the back, moves up to 8th position, and he's on the medium tyres, the best tyre to be on right now because it has such a lower operating window in terms of temperature. Supersoft will be absolutely useless in these conditions, but is the rain going to ease off, or is it going to get heavier to intermediate condition? And look how much more confidence Cliff, well, I spoke too soon, and now Maxi Luca is going to have a little sniff at Cliffy then, but Cliffy will have the inside as we go into the Variante Ascari. It's only lap 2. We'll get DRS. Is anyone going to be brave enough to put the DRS on in these conditions? That is the question, because it's going to make it even more harder to slow down. But let's have a look at the front then. Blizzard just ahead of Lewis. He'll be in dreamland right now. Any damage for the top 4? Blizzard, no. Lewis, no. Lico, I don't think so. Ashbeth, no. So I think the top 4 have all sort of got away with it. They're dropping Big C, but Big C, as ever, struggling in these wet conditions. He'll be hoping it's drying out, not the other way around. Otherwise, it could be a very long race for him. But yeah, I think the drivers were generally shocked by the weather they got. They probably thought, well, you know, it's going to be wet conditions. And surely we'll have intermediates, but not like this. This is quite unique. This doesn't normally happen. And it looks like Cliffy has got past Nick Pine, and now he's going to have a look. I mean, the medium tyres are absolutely fantastic at the moment, but Cherry Tupai, to be fair, is on as well. Cherry Tupai will go defensive from the Renault driver. Not getting the best camera angles so far in this race, so I do apologise. And it's a really good exit from Cliffy. Will he think about a move into the first Lesmo? Actually, I didn't actually see. What's the DRS activated? Well, we're about to find out. Did race control activate the DRS? Let's just have a look then. I'll switch to temperature. Oh, and Cherry Tupai gets a terrible exit out of the second Lesmo, and DRS is in fact enabled. So despite the rain, we have DRS, and Cliffy is going to get a run, but oh, it's too wide into the Variante Ascari. It's always very dangerous deep, but Cliffy, oh, that is superb braking, but oh, but he has run wide. He may have got a warning for that, but he gets the move done, and I think he was slightly ahead, so I don't think he'll have to get the place back. But it did compromise his exit, and that will allow Cherry Tupai to come back at him. And they're going to go side by side into the Parabolic, and behind them Nick Pine and Maxi Luca having a little battle as well. As Blizzard crosses the line. Oh, and Cherry Tupai runs wide. That's going to compromise his exit a little bit, so Cliffy doing a pretty good job. We're going to go back to Ashbeth. No, he has not got ahead. But what about Cherry? Is Cherry under threat? Oh my goodness, Nick Pine under attack from Maxi Luca behind. Will we get any more wing damage? Oh, they're barely able to get the car slowed down. Slight contact between Cherry Tupai and Nick Pine. But they get away with it. So let's run down the top 10. Blizzard, Lewis, Lickle, Ashbeth, Big C, Cliffy, Cherry Tupai, Nick Pine, Maxi Luca and Powdy. Outside the top 10, we've had several pit stops already. QPR, Beast and Woko, I believe, having changes for wing damage because there was a lot of contact at turn 1. Cherry Tupai, even though he's on the mediums like Cliffy, he's really struggling actually on these tyres. Woko has pitted again, and we've got yellows in sector 2. What on earth has happened there? CC Brain, something's happened to CC Brain. Yeah, he's gone off somewhere in sector 2, and now he's dropped all the way down to 16th place. So given that Greeny isn't here tonight in the Williams, it's not looking good for Williams at all. And Woko is switching to the intermediate, so are we about to get intermediate running, or the DRS is still enabled? So maybe it's, oh, and Blizzard runs wide, and Lewis is going to have a great opportunity to pass, and it's going to be like taking candy from a baby. That was easy. A huge mistake from Blizzard, and that has allowed Lewis to take the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. And meanwhile behind, Ashbeth is looking to challenge. Nickel, but the top 2 ahead. Blizzard's trying to come back, and they're going up the Curva Grande towards the Segunda Curva. Lewis doesn't have particularly good traction out of the first chicane, and Blizzard's going to try and go late on the brakes. Will there be any contact between the two? And yeah, Lewis had just enough about him. Wait a minute, what's happened? Ashbeth has run wide at the Segunda, and he's lost a bag of time. Must have tried to make a move on Lickle, or outbraked himself or something like that, but it's a disaster. For Ashbeth, he has lost ground to Lewis, Blizzard and Lickle. This race, I mean, the last few races have just been entertainment galore, and it's continuing this trend here at Monza. A mini tour of Europe we are having, and then we will finish the season at Malaysia for the final round, and indeed the final time Malaysia will be on an F1 game, at least for the time being. But enough about that. Blizzard, he'll be absolutely furious himself after running wide of Parabolica and gifting the lead back to Lewis, because he was looking comfortable. I think Lewis doesn't have quite straight on speed, and Maxi Luca on his return gets his customary penalty. So some things are very consistent, and Maxi Luca in penalties is certainly one of those. And Lewis feels he has to go defensive straight away, and look how close his fellow VSR driver's getting. They're going to go side by side into the first corner. Who's going to go later on the brakes? Blizzard will take it round the outside, and I think he's going to get this move done. but they're going to still be side by side on the Curve Grande. Lewis edges away, they bang wheels. Side by side they go, oh, and another wheel banging moment. Blizzard will have the inside for the Segunda. He goes late on the brakes and he gets to slow down brilliantly. He retakes the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. Can Lewis come back at him? Lickle, if he was smart, just needs to keep a watching brief. Wow, he even had half a look into the Lesmos. That would be an outrageous move to make there. This is all allowing Ash Best to get back up on terms with them. So I apologise to the midfield for not seeing much action, but this is a thrilling battle for the lead right now. 27 laps of this circuit to go. In total, we've had 6 of them so far. We're on the 7th. At the moment, no penalties for Lewis or Ash Best, so Lewis is closing the championship lead. He'll be desperate to get one more position just to put as much pressure as he can on that championship lead, because as I mentioned, Ash Best is looking like he's going to miss the final 3 races, so Lewis has got to maximise any opportunity he can get. Once again, Blizzard struggling a little bit with the Parabolica. So did Lewis, to be fair. Can Lewis get close to him? Blizzard feel the need to go defensive on the home straight. It looks like Lewis doesn't have quite the straight line speed that Blizzard had. Still has half a chance maybe to go for a move into turn 1, but no, he was nowhere near close enough. So yeah, it looks like Blizzard has a big advantage in straight line speed, and that could prove really important. There is a car up ahead, I think that's Wacko in the Sauber, so Wacko is almost getting lapped, but he's had to make 2 pit stops. Relatively short lap here, of course, and it's 20 seconds for a pit stop, relatively, so if you have 2 pit stops, you're going to be well off the order. So the rain is just sort of falling as it is. There was a race in F4 where it sort of rained like this but never got harder, so people were still using dry tyres throughout the race, so it's looking like maybe a similar situation here. It's just sort of light drizzle, so we may not get any intermediate running at all. Let's just see what tyres people are on. So Wacko's the only person who is on intermediates, and that's probably why he's dropping so much time and he's about to get lapped. As Lewis gets in DRS range once again and has a little look at it. Oh, Wacko goes off, maybe to get out of the way of the lead cars, but yeah, Wacko's day I think is done. It's a really good exit out of the Variante Ascari by VSR Lewis. Blizzard has to go defensive, but being on the inside of Parabolica is not ideal because that's not where the line is. So he has to switch back to the insides, the outside of the corner, so he can actually get that proper traction. But Ash Best, despite that mistake he made at the Segunda, he has caught back up to the top 3, so he's not out of this yet. And it's a really good exit actually, because overall Blizzard once again struggling with the exit Parabolica, and this time Lewis is going to look to retake the lead of the Italian Grand Prix. They go side by side through the opening chicane. They're going to bang wheels. Look at that, the arms go up from both of them. And will this give Lickle maybe an opportunity? And Lewis edges ahead. Oh, and how close was that? This is an absolutely thrilling fight for the lead. Blizzard, oh, Blizzard nearly smashing into the back of that Toro Rosso, but thankfully had the right judgment to back off a little bit. Ash Best is back in it. And look at Cliffy. Cliffy in 5th position, and he's catching up to these 4. He did mention on social media that he had really good pace here, and he's on the mediums, and like I said earlier, the mediums work really well in these sort of conditions because the required operating temperature for them is much less strict than say the super softs or even the softs. And Cliffy, he's 1.5 seconds now behind the top 4, so this 4-way battle for the lead could become a 5-way very shortly. Likes of Cherry 2 Pie and Max Luca seemingly don't have the medium pace, and Big C's actually pitted for mediums himself, so maybe he recognises. And once again, the straight line speed of Blizzard is enabling to catch up, but look how quickly Cliffy is going. He's now within a second of Ash Best. We're going to have to keep an eye on him behind, see if he can make a move. Blizzard retakes the lead on the straight, and into the pits go the Super Soft runners, except for Blizzard. So Cliffy moves up to second for the time being. So Lewis, Lickle and Ash Best. So Ash Best just follows his Tata rival in, and that is certainly what we do. So let's see what tyres are they going for. It's the mediums for Lewis. Ash Best also medium, but no changes in position in the pit lane, and Wacko has called it a day. Jolie Anamanu is on the intermediate tyres, but it's clearly not into conditions at the moment. It's just not raining hard enough that you can just tell from the spray. Let's go back to the front, because Cliffy is within a second of Blizzard. And Big C actually got the undercut on Ash Best, who's actually got ahead of Ash Best. So Big C, as he has done in recent races, gaining places from the pit lane. And look, everyone is switching to the medium tyres now. I think they're recognising that the medium compound is going to be the best tyre to use now, because Cliffy is showing absolutely unbelievable pace. He's catching up to Blizzard, but those super softs, having to work so much harder, are wearing out maybe a lot quicker than they normally would. I'm sure that normally they would be going another 3 or 4 laps, but because they're sliding around so much, I think Cliffy is going to get this move done, but he can probably wait. So Blizzard surely will have to pit. Will he lose time fighting this position? Blizzard takes the inside, so I think that's a sign he's about to go off in the pit lane, although he sort of blocks off Cliffy. Yeah, Blizzard heading for the pit lane, and indeed does. So Cliffy, last week's race winner, takes the lead of the Italian Grand Prix on track, and it may be a while before he pits. And I tell you what, if some of the drivers behind get caught up in traffic, he could be in a great position to win a race, as VSR Lewis passes Lordy Boy. And Blizzard is pit... Oh, sorry. For some reason I thought he'd already pitted, sorry. I'm getting excited. So will Lewis get ahead of Blizzard on track? Oh, it's close, but yes, Blizzard is also behind Lordy Boy. What about Lickle? Lickle has got past Blizzard as well. Although will Blizzard come back at him on his side? No, he cannot. So the undercut has worked really well for the rest of the top 3, because both Lewis and Lickle have got past Blizzard, so that extra lap really didn't work for Blizzard. There's a long way to go yet. Plenty of brilliant battles to come here. Oh, there's a little gap. He left over. Oh, he's trying to go for a double overtake. Oh, he would have got a warning there, and he's forced Lordy Boy off, so he's had to give the place back. That, I don't think he meant to go for Lordy Boy, but he has passed Lickle. So I think that move was fine. He had to cut the corner to get past Lordy Boy, so he gave that place back. So Lickle, you know, he slammed the door shut, then he decided, hello, I'm going to open the door for you again. And Blizzard said, yep, that's all the invite I need, and he's got ahead of him again. So for the time being, they're behind the Ferrari of Lordy Boy. The Tifosi cheering in vain, but both their drivers are really out of position in terms of fighting for anywhere near the front. It's Dolian Manu picks up a 3-second time penalty. So we saw Wako retire, unfortunately. But yeah, the intermediates just didn't work for him, so he was forced to call it a day. And well, Lordy Boy may be about to get swamped by the cars behind, because look, Big C and Ash Best, they're right there as well. So I think we could get a 3-wide situation here. Lordy Boy may have absolutely no prayer to defend the multiple cars behind him. He's already got a Haas alongside him. Watch out for Lickle behind. Is any of them going to go for a double overtake? Lickle looking for a gap on the inside. Oh, Blizzard and Lickle have definitely made contact, 100%, as has the Ferrari. So the Ferrari desperately trying to keep ahead, but Blizzard should edge ahead of Lordy Boy. But that was ambitious from Lickle to try and take 2 places, and Lordy Boy slips wide, and he's going to lose a bag of places. So in terms of the cars out on track at the moment, let's just have a look. So Nick Pine, Maxi Luca, Cherry Pine, Cliffy, the only of the top 5 haven't stopped. Pine's just been overtaken. Lewis is gaining quite the advantage here. The pit stops have really worked out for him. He hasn't been caught up in traffic, so at the moment it's looking very good for Lewis to maximise his title challenge right now. So Ash Best at the moment is running in 9th, effectively probably about net 5th. So he's got to find something. He'll be hoping maybe it rains more, because we know how outstanding he's been in the rain this season. Nick Pine, to be fair to him, he's done really well to go this far into the race on super softs. He's done 12 laps on super softs, where other drivers have really struggled on them, but he's obviously going to lose a lot of time. Now Lickle having maybe a bit of a look. Nick Pine finally pits. So the final of the super soft runners from the start of the race have decided to call it a day. Blizzard under attack from Lickle. They made contact the previous lap. We wouldn't bet them against him making contact again. Oh, it's so untidy through that corner, but it's the fault of that corner, really. It's not really the drivers. It's just no room for two cars. Lickle moves ahead of Blizzard. Watch out for Big C just behind, but as they go around the Curva Grande, really good traction from the chicane now. Blizzard will look to attack into the Segunda. But Lickle defends it very nicely. But all of this is helping Lewis. It's a 5.2 second gap between VSR Lewis and the Voltex driver Lickle. That just shows you how much time you lose from battling. top 3 are on mediums, so they're not going to be pitting for a while. But it's 11.7 seconds between Cliffy and Cherry 2Pint. Now, the only problem is for those medium drivers, the medium tyre is the best tyre to be on right now, but the problem is, because it's dry conditions, they're still going to have to use a mandatory different tyre. That means Cliffy and all the rest of the cars on mediums, they are going to have to pit for a different compound, which will be an inferior compound if the conditions stay like this. So let's have a quick look. So between Cliffy and Lickle is 26 seconds. So if they keep batting like this, Cliffy is in the fight for a podium, no question about it. Now he'll be pitting for the soft side, imagine, if they can stay like this. But look at this, almost 3 wide. Blizzard looking for a gap. Oh, they touch multiple times and they force Lickle off. Big C may go, oh, but it's a play, and Asbest takes 3 places. Oh my goodness, what on earth has happened there? That was Lickle and Blizzard. Ridiculous driving into turn 1. Asbest, it wasn't a buy one get one free offer, it was free for the price of 1. Unbelievable stuff. Asbest, an absolute gift. They'll be absolutely furious with each other. Big C had nowhere to go. Lordy Boy probably had a look at that and chuckled to himself. He's probably seen a fair few incidents like that in the past. But yeah, Blizzard and Lickle, they just fought too hard, and they've really taken each other out, and maybe out of the fight for the podium. The amount of time they've lost. Cliffy really looking good now for a podium thanks to that. So let's do a rundown of the top 10 then after all that shenanigans. Cliffy, Cherry 2Pint, Maxi Luca, VSR Lewis, Asbest, Blizzard, Lickle, Big C, Lordy Boy and AMS make up the top 10. Still got a car out there on intermediates, and that's Nick Pines. I'm going to keep an eye on his sector times. Is it getting any heavier? Well, I have to say, spray is getting a bit worse, so maybe we are about to get rain. But the DRS still there. Oh, and Lickle, and oh my goodness, this is ridiculous. It's getting a bit personal between those two. I'm surprised they haven't got wing damage, to be honest, but they are really fighting hard for these positions, but it's not really doing them much good. It's just costing them time. Sometimes you just gotta not fight so hard like this, because you're just destroying your own race, to be honest. Big C wisely staying fast. Oh, Nick Pine is out of the race. I think he's had an incident somewhere. And Big C, can he get the power down? He's got past Blizzard. Oh, Big C sliding everywhere. It's like a go-kart track right now. Just want to have a quick look at Nick Pine. Oh, he's called it a day. So the inters were not enough. The Force India has shut down, and that is it. But I'll be amazed if some of these drivers don't have penalties after all the cuts they've done. But yeah, Lickle and Blizzard not exactly covering themselves in glory. I mean, as far as Blizzard goes, he had a really good chance, but there may be some choice words between the Haas and Force India driver after the race. Good-natured, I'm sure, knowing PSTO F1. So Cliffy has a 13-second advantage to Cherry. I mean, in terms of the medium runners, Cliffy has been absolutely outstanding from the start of the race. I mean, the pace he's shown here on these mediums has been incredible. What's the gap he's got to Lewis? Well, he hasn't got a pit stop on Lewis, so when Cliffy and Cherry pit, Lewis will be winning this race. However, Asbest, it's going to be marginal between those two, and he certainly has a pit stop advantage over the likes of Lickle, Big C and Blizzard. So Cliffy looking good for another podium, which would be his 3rd in 4 races since returning. So he is in form. I wonder where he would have been if he'd been in this form at Ferrari from the start of the season. But he left the league, he's come back, and he's rediscovered his mojo. There's no question about that. He is showing the kind of form that made him almost get that championship last season. So it's kind of quieted down a bit, which probably for the best. Although having said that, these 3, I wonder if we'll see more contact with them. Wouldn't surprise me. So we've got 2 retirements from the 18 who started so far. As Blizzard has a little look at Big C behind. He's never going to get past at the Lesmo, especially in these conditions. As Cherry 2Pint picks up a 3-second time penalty. But Cherry, he's on for a decent result in the points. When he pits, he'll probably be behind these 3, but he should be maybe ahead of Lordy Boy. Although, Lordy Boy hasn't pitted yet, so actually might be ahead of AMS when he pits. So only 3 drivers have not pitted. Jolie Anamanu has made 2 pit stops. That stop for the Inters, that's a complete disaster for the Red Bull driver. Really shouldn't have done it. You just got to play the conditions sometimes. Bit of a gamble, but it hasn't paid off. 35 seconds of 15th place. That is not something that Jolyon and Manu wants to see. We've got yellows in sector 2. Someone's run wide somewhere. Certainly has quietened down a little bit. Big C, does he have the straight line speed to catch Lickle? He's got DRS, but Blizzard, in terms of straight line speed, has certainly had some of the most impressive figures. Saw 218 from him earlier on in the race. So these three, you know, maybe have blown off some steam, and perhaps they're just sort of thinking, okay, we've got to calm down a little bit. And oh, the Ferrari fans, it's another disappointing moment for them, and what has been a disappointing, wretched session for the Scuderia. And it's at the Variante Ascari. The dreams of Abiodun of winning the Italian Grand Prix are over. Of course, they were very unlikely at where he was, well outside the top 10. So we got yellow flags. Be a safety car if it was working, but of course it doesn't. So we carry on. So this is the main battle on track, really. Although actually, let's have a quick look at AMS. I think we've given these three enough screen time, haven't we? So let's have a look at AMS. Oh, AMS, brilliant run. He's, as one Ferrari retires, the other one's in trouble. McLaren versus Ferrari, a battle of old in Formula 1. Oh, and that's a touch, and they both run into the gravel. Oh, dearie me. These conditions have really messed people up. As Cliffy pits then, from the lead, and he's on the softs. Is he going to get out ahead of Ash Best? I think he will, you know. Yes, Cliffy comes out in third, and he's on the softs. Now, if he can make those softs work, he's got the superior tyre in terms of grip. He can challenge for victory here. Can he get 6.4 seconds on Lewis? Because we have seen VSR hasn't been the best in wet conditions, although this is a unique situation. AMS now battling. Oh, it's nearly 3 wide between QPR Beast, Maxi Luca and AMS. AMS just about maintains first southern midfield. I mean, there's been so much action at turn 1 and 2. Those fans, they're getting wet, but they're getting brilliant entertainment down turn 1, even if the drivers are really struggling. But Maxi Luca on his return to PSO F1, looking to make a move on AMS. He's going to go late on the brakes, but can he get it slowed down? And actually, really impressive driving from AMS to keep ahead there. Better exit though for Max Luca, and he's looking for a move into the Lesmos. Surely not side by side with the Lesmos. They've hit each other. Although that was harmless wheel banging, so actually good work really from both of them not to have an enormous accident there. So Lewis closing in on Cherry 25, the only remaining driver except for Lordy Boy who hasn't made a pit lane. Fair play to Lordy Boy, he's done 18 laps on those softs. So his tyre wear really good, even if his speed is not up to the scratch it needs to be. Because when he pits, he'll be well out of the top 10, but he'll have fresh tyres, so hopefully he'll be able to get into the points. So then I think we're about to get more action now. Lordy Boy, he's been on those tyres forever. Is he going to pit? Oh, he's so slow for the Parabolica. He's got no traction to put down. He's going to get absolutely swamped. Maxi, AMS, QPR Beast on the attack. Oh, we know what happened last time. 3 cars went into one corner. It was a bit of a disaster. So maybe QPR Beast and Lordy Boy gets split up. Maxi trying to squeeze through, and QPR Beast sneaks past Lordy Boy and AMS. And now can he make 3 positions up 1? We saw it earlier of Ash Best taking 3 positions. QPR Beast going alongside Maxi Luca into the Segunda Curva. Maxi Luca holds off the position. Good defending from the Toro Rosso driver and moves up to 8th place. We're going to have to go back to the front though, because VSR Lewis is closing in on Cherry 2 Pi. He must be reaching the end in terms of his tyre life on those mediums. Will he defend for another lap, or will he finally peel off the pit? No, he does indeed. We will not see a battle. So Lewis takes the lead for the PSO F1 Italian Grand Prix, and he has a 6.8 advantage over Cliffy, I do believe. The gaps will sort themselves out in a moment. Let's have a quick look at Big C. Big C's on the back of Lickle. So Big C trying to get back into the top 4. He's got a slight gap. Oh, he's being squeezed, but he's going to brave it out. Can Lickle get it slowed down? Does about. That was Very aggressive defending from Lickle, but fair, has to be said, because he couldn't quite match the late braking. But he's got a brilliant run into the Curva Grande, and he's got the inside line for the Curva Segunda. That's where you want to be. So quite alongside him. He's going to go lay on the brakes. Watch out for Blizzard just behind. Oh, and they touch again. And whoa, Blizzard. Slight cut there, I think, to get past Big C. And he's going to try and get past Lickle through the Lesmos. Yeah, definitely a bit of a cut from Blizzard, I thought. Lickle and Blizzard. Oh my goodness, I thought they were going to spear off into the wall there. Big C goes off the throttle for a moment, and I just saw a bit of carbon fibre go off, and I think that was from Blizzard's Haas. These two drivers have absolutely bashed into each other like bumper cars on a Saturday night. As Lickle gets a time penalty for a track extending outside the Variante Ascari. And at the moment, Cliffy not able to use those soft tyres. They're just not a good tyre. He has sent the fastest lap of the race, but he's not really gaining enough time. Oh, and Lickle makes a massive error ahead, similar to what Blizzard did in the race. Lickle is going to have to defend. No, he can't defend. He's too slow. If you get a poor exit out of Parabolica, you have no chance. Look at that, Big C. Again, he backs off wisely. It's just going to be massive contact on the road. Oh, and those two cars make contact again. Blizzard gets past. Oh, and in the end, Lickle fought too hard, and he's had a massive crash. Well, Lickle, just outstanding race for him last week, but he just, you know, today he's just been fighting far too hard. You know, Big C and Blizzard were past him because of the mistake he made on Parabolic, and he just needed to, and he has called it a day in frustration, and that is the end of Lickle's race. So that is a place gained for everybody. But yeah, Lickle, he's so impressive last week at Singapore, but it's a familiar sort of rash driving from Lickle, unfortunately. But you know, if he can learn to calm down just a little bit, he could be a force in this league, but not today. Force India driver retires from the race. So that promotes Blizzard to 4th, Big C to 5th, Cherry Tupai running in 6th at the moment with an 8-second advantage to Maxi Luca. QPR Beast in 8th, 9th place for AMS, and having a decent scrap at the moment. Now Blizzard may possibly have some damage to his left end plate, so that could give Big C half a chance to get back at him. We shall find out in the laps to come. Let's have a quick look at Jack Lacey. Caught up in an unfortunate accident at turn 1. We saw his car sort of fly off the sort of gain, and he's going to make short work of Powdy by the looks of it. And indeed he does. So Jack Lacey is back into the points. He's taken him best part of the whole race. And he is through. Can Powdy come back at him? No, I don't think he's not nowhere near close enough. But meanwhile, up ahead, QPR Beast and AMS having a decent scrap as well. The race has sort of quieted down a bit, but I think we're going to get some good action here between AMS and QPR Beasts. So the gap between the top two, as you were really. Lewis leading from Cliffy, Ash Best in 3rd, and Ash Best, because of all that battling he's had to do, he's in 3rd position. So as it stands, he is losing 6 points to Lewis, which, for all intents and purposes, given that he's missing the races to come, may mean the end of his title defence, but there's still a long way to go yet, and given the tricky conditions, and look at that, Lewis is really getting the hammer down now on those mediums, setting a slightly faster lap than what Cliffy managed earlier, and it's, yeah, the medium tyre has been absolutely king today, no question about it. Dixie unable to get close to him. Oh, QPR Beast is missing half his wing, so downforce, lack of downforce, not particularly important, except for this corner. Parabolic is probably the one corner on the track where you do need some downforce. And look, oh, and QPR's run wide, and well, he can try and defend, but it's not going to happen. So QPR Beast, the lack of downforce on the left-hand side, really compromising him there, and AMS sweeps up into 8th place. We did see some contact earlier on when they were fighting likes of Lordy Boy. Well, that's a really good exit though from QPR Beast out of the first chicane, and he's going to go back out of AMS. AMS will be absolutely kicking himself. It was a terrible put down a traction, and I think that's proof, all the proof you need how good the medium tyres are on traction. Because AMS, you know, he had that place done. All this fighting though has allowed a certain former PSGL F1 champion to close the gap. Jack Lacey will be sniffing some points here. More than he's only got a point at the moment. But, you know, back up to 8th after that disastrous turn 1 for him. That will be what he wants. So, DRS wing opens for AMS. Jack Lacey right behind him. He's having a look. Oh, he goes back to the inside. Is he going to go for a move at the Variant Ascari? He certainly is. And he's forced AMS wide. Oh, and AMS couldn't control the car. Well, there was contact. It was light contact, but I think Jack Lacey came back a bit. I think the move was on there, but yeah, AMS just couldn't find the space. Forced wide, and those slippery painted lines on the outside, and that was the end of that. And CC Brain out of nowhere has passed Jack Lacey. Oh, and he gets it terribly wrong. QBRB, so Jack Lacey must have gone massively wide as well. We didn't see that after that incident. So Bowdy's back up against CC Brain. So we got these three scrapping away. Now, I'm just going to have a look now. Because Big C... Oh, and CC Brain's run wide again. I don't know if he's lagging, because that was a really weird jerky action just then. So let's have a quick look at Big C, because Big C still in 4th position, but under enormous pressure from Blizzard. Top 3 sort of as you were. AMS pits. You know, he was on for a really good point score. Oh, Big C has run wide. He's gone onto the gravel. Oh, it's a huge mistake from Big C. Uncharacteristic mistake. He outbraked himself with the Variante Ascari, and Blizzard moves up to 4th. And now he's got to shake off that gravel, because the Parabolica with, you know, tyres like that, so difficult. But that was a surprising mistake from Big C, and now he's being caught by Cherry 2 Pi. Look how much he's struggling through the Ascari. Those tyres aren't cleaned up yet. Luckily, there was no one else around to take advantage of more places. But Blizzard probably didn't expect that to happen. Now he's up to 4th. Because of all that battling he did with Lickle earlier, he's nowhere near in the battle for the podium. So, which is a real shame, because he had a really good qualifying. But 4th would still be a solid result if he gets it. 7 seconds and the gap between the top 2. But we're going to go right back to Jack Lacey and Powdy, who are having an entertaining scrap for 9th and 10th position. Powdy has moved back in front of the Mercedes driver. DRS disabled. Well, well, well. That would explain why suddenly drivers are out braking themselves. The rain has started to fall harder. Powdy has given the places back. So we are going to get some inter-running. Well, that is very surprising indeed. We've still got 4 laps to go. Is anyone going to bother pitting? That's the question. They're going to keep going. Well, AMS gets a 5 seconds stop and go penalty speeding in the pit. He's gone to the super softs. Oh dear, that's not the right choice at this time. And Jack Lacey really struggling now. He's lost the place to CC Brain. AMS goes on to the intermediates. So we've had some random weather in PSGL F1 in recent races, haven't we? Well, if you've enjoyed this race, please leave a like on the video. I'd really appreciate that. It's been another barnstorming race in PSGL F1, especially in the midfield and the battle for the podium, if not the battle for the lead particularly. Ash Best pits. Ash Best pits. And he's gone for inters. This is an enormous gamble, because if it doesn't rain too much harder, well, how much of an undercut is he going to get? And he's behind Maxi Luca. Oh no. Ash Best did not want to see that Toro Rosso driver. They've had a few tangles in the past when Ash Best wasn't quite at the front of the grid in his early PSGL F1 days. Oh dear. That's not going to really enable him to use the inters, if indeed they're the best tyre right now. So Lewis goes through the Variante Ascari. There's only 3 laps left really, so those on the mediums will be okay for a little while longer. The rain's really got to come down hard. It's still, you know, not a lot of spray. So we shall see. Let's have a look at Ash Best. He is certainly on the pace now. He's already on the back of Maxi Luca. Jack Lacey's pitted. AMS, Juliana Manu. So 4 runners on the inters. Can Maxi Luca defend this at all? certainly will try. It's a 5-second stop go penalty for Jack Lacey. Oh, he crossed the pit lane exit line. Well, that's an unusual penalty to get. But that is a legitimate penalty. You won't get that removed. Ash Best has been forced wide by Maxi Luca. What is Maxi Luca doing? I just don't get it. You're on an inferior tyre. Give the guy some space, for goodness sake. Oh, Maxi Luca is... Ash Best will use the superior tyres, and he's put his hand up. Tells him what he thinks of that. He's back up to 6th. He's only got 2 laps now. I do wonder, is anyone else going to bother pitting? I'll tell you what, if the rain suddenly came down hard now, might have half a chance, but he's so far behind Blizzard. This is a gamble that has really handed the initiative to VSR Lewis. The rain's coming down, but is it coming down hard enough? He's had to go off the throttle early, actually. Try and get the car slowed down, and he does indeed. He's got down lean fuel as well. It is Ash Best closing. He is closing rapidly on Cherry 2 Bike. She's taking half a second now, 1 sector, but there's only 2 laps to go. Well, less than that now indeed. Through the Parabolica then for the penultimate time goes VSR Lewis. He's had to fight for it. Furious battling early on with the likes of Blizzard, Big C, and Ash Best. He's in a position now to win this race and really open up his championship bid. Ash Best now within 3 seconds of Cherry. I think the dry tyres are dying out now. It's too little too late, I think, for Ash Best. He had a podium on. Well, respectfully, Odems, I don't agree that squeezing someone off towards the gravel is a legitimate move, but that's your opinion. Well, I didn't ignore the dive bomb, Odems, because I commentated on it. So Blizzard in 3rd position at the time being. Last lap of this Italian Grand Prix in PSGL F1. Wow, the first people watching. Considering there's another PSGL race on, that is very good indeed. Thank you very much for tuning in once again. Ash Best then has got past Cherry 2 Pie. If the rain had come a bit earlier, he might have had... Can he catch Big C? Big C, you can see him just going through the 2 Lesmos. Let's go back to VSR Lewis, who is heading down the back straight. And as I mentioned earlier, he's had to fight for it. He's had to go for it. But with all the fighting going on behind him, with all the shenanigans going on at turn 1, VSR Lewis is going to win the Italian Grand Prix and really open up his bid to become the PSGL F1 champion. He's taken the opportunity to the max. Cliffy, a brilliant 2nd place to follow up his victory last week. But we're going to go Dash Best, because can he catch Big C and take 4th position, which at this point is damage limitations. Blizzard is about to cross the line and take 3rd position. Oh, what is Blizzard doing? He's almost in a frizzo. Ash Best crosses the line, and it's only 5th place. It's only 5th place for the reigning champion. Oh dear, he must be absolutely devastated with that. He pitted, he gambled, but it didn't work out. So we'll go on board with Lewis, the race winner. What a fantastic result for the Toro Rosso driver, and indeed it ignites Toro Rosso's bid to be Constructors' Championship as well, given that AMS finished out of the points and both Toro Rossos finished in the points. Well, I have to admit, I think some of the racecraft went out the window this evening, but it certainly gave us entertainment. I mean, it's the 4th race in a row, which has just been absolutely brilliant to watch. If indeed this one wasn't for the purists, but VSR Lewis, fantastic victory for him. There won't be any podium interviews tonight because I do have to dash off once again to get some stuff done, but they will return next week. So we'll have a co-commentator next week, which I'll reveal in a few days. Hopefully it'll be Remco. So VSR Lewis celebrates the victory as he goes past the wrecked Hulk of the Haas, which, you know, he's very lucky to actually cross the line. He nearly threw it away. That would have been quite funny, actually, if he'd done that. So we're going to get our podium assuming it loads. So we got VSR Lewis takes the victory for his esports squad, his 4th victory of the season, and then Cliffy in 2nd. What form he's showing, and Blizzard taking the podium for Haas, which I do believe is his first ever PSL F1 podium. So although he had to really fight for that podium, he's got it. But here is our provisional result then for the PSL F1 Italian Grand Prix. VSR Lewis takes the victory from Cliffy, and then Blizzard makes our podium. Big C in 4th. It was kind of a topsy-turvy race from Ash Best in 5th. That late pit stop proving so costly. Would have been on the podium otherwise. Cherry Tupai in 6th. Max Luke in 7th. QPRB's in 8th. CZ Brain in 9th. And Powdy taking the final championship points. And then we have the likes of Lordy Boy, AMS, Jolly Anamanu, and Jack Lacey. Well, his race was massively compromised at turn 1. We had 5 DNFs in the end of the 18 who started. So, wow, those conditions, they really mixed it up, didn't they? You know, unusual conditions where it was raining, but yet wasn't wet enough for injuries until right at the end of the race, and by then, people could actually race. So, a big thank you to everybody who watched this evening. It's been another entertaining race in PSL F1. And we will see you next week, same time, for another race in Europe. And it will be, I'm sure, given the calibre of the circuit, another exciting race in this division. It will be the Austrian Grand Prix. Thanks for watching, and see you next time.